Okay, so this video is probably more about philosophy than it is about process and mechanics. So the purpose here is to talk about the AstraZeneca security model within Clarity. The overriding approach that we've taken in security is to grant people various levels of access based on groups in Clarity. So I'm looking now at the groups page under administration groups, and you can see there are a bunch of them that start with AZ. There are some that start with other things that are mostly non-AstraZeneca things. Actually, that's probably not even true. So scratch that comment. Um, the philosophy here is that rather than going into an individual and assigning them a bunch of rights, what we do is we set up a group. We define the group to have a set of rights, and then we add people to the group. In some cases, the rights for the group are based on global rights. In other cases, they are OBS level rights, and in other cases, they are instance level rights. Those are the three ways that you can assign rights within Clarity. So let's just take a look at one of the simpler ones, which is our AstraZeneca IT basic user. So if I drill into this, I could see the resources tab here will show me all of the people that are assigned to this group. But for now, the one that we're interested in is the group's access rights. If I look at instance rights here, what I will see is that portlets and processes tend to be instance level rights. So if you create a new process and you want people to be able to run the process, they have to have rights to it, but the rights are at an instance level. So you have to give them a right to that instance of a process. So if I drill into this, I can see that the lessons learned create process is the one that I've given people rights to. Anybody that's in this group can start that process. Portlets, if you write a portlet and you want people to be able to view the portlet, then you need to give them instance rights to that particular portlet. So here I have instance rights to these timesheet portlets. Be aware that if you can view the portlet, that doesn't mean that you'll be able to see any data, because if the portlet is returning data from the project object and you don't have rights to see projects, then even though you can see the portlet, you won't get any data in the portlet. And that comes up periodically where people will say, gee, I can't see anything. And you go in and you look and everything looks fine, but they don't have rights to whatever data it is they're trying to access. So in general, when you look at instance rights, you will probably only see portlets and processes and specific rights to specific instances of those. The more interesting one is the OBS unit. And here we have rights that are based on which OBS unit the user is in. So in this case, the AZ basic user group is assumed to be for IT. We've got a separate one for global engineering, but this is the IT basic user. So their rights are based on the AstraZeneca department, and they can see projects, and I think that's it, projects within that branch of the OBS structure. So this becomes significant. The reason that it's set up this way is that when Global Engineering decided to start using Clarity, they didn't want their people bogged down having to wade through the thousands of IT projects. And similarly, they didn't want the IT people to be able to have a window into their projects. So by putting all of their projects into the right OBS unit and all of their people being assigned to the right OBS unit, and then setting up our security groups to be based on OBS, we are able to completely segregate the two. So users in IT have rights to view projects, view status reports, view risks and issues, view tasks, all of those things for projects that are either in the AstraZeneca organization or the marketing company's organization, but they cannot view projects that are in the global engineering organization. So that's the purpose of the global or the OBS level rights. Now, some things are global rights, and you'll see that there are 51 different global rights that IT basic users have. These are typically lower level things. So audit trails, being able to view a department, the DP checklist, all of those are things that are associated with projects. Because they can only see projects at the AstraZeneca level, that doesn't mean they can see the things within the project. That's what these rights are for. But we give these as global rights, even though we don't want people in IT viewing global engineering, because they can't see global engineering projects. It doesn't matter that they have global rights to the audit trail. They can't drill down into the audit trail for a project they can't see. Some things are not project related. So ideas, we give all of our IT users the ability to view ideas and view job outputs, to access the knowledge store, to navigate to lessons learned that's within a project, and also to view all the applications in the system and to change their account settings. So all of these are pretty standard global rights to give to someone who can't make changes in the system. Notice all of these are view, 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 view. There are no edits here. The basic user can go into the system, see what's there, but can't change anything. So again, almost all of these are underneath a project. So subpages within a project. They can see the action items subpage. They can see the service assurance subpage, but they can't make changes to it. And I don't remember what's on page 3. Yeah, resources. They can view resources. So they can see all the resources in the system. That does include global engineering people. So we did not separate that out. You can actually see people regardless of where they are. And you can view their bookings, but as a basic user, you cannot book a resource to a project. That's a separate right. So that's kind of the quick view of the AZ IT basic user, and kind of shows you the approach that we use in granting access. Now, of course, this gets complicated. I'm looking at global rights. If I click add, then I will see a list of all the global rights available in the system, and you can see there are 553 of them. So understanding what all these rights are is beyond the scope of this video. Suffice to say, if someone can't see something they expect to, or if two people see things differently, it's almost certainly a rights issue, and sometimes tracking down which exact right gives you access to what you need can be a bit of a challenge. As a super user, I have all rights in the system, and when someone says I can't see something, and then I first look to see if I can see it, then I see what differences there are between my rights and theirs. And because there are so many, there have been times where I've had to literally create a dummy user, give them all the rights in the system, and then remove half of them and see if I can still see the item in question. And if I can, then I remove half of the remainder and just do a binary search until I get down to the exact right that gives me that capability. And even that can be a challenge because rights are interdependent. So if you have one right but not another one, you may not see something, but they're related. Like you have to be able to navigate to a page in order to see what's on the page. So you have to be careful about how you remove specific rights when you're trying to track that down. Looking back at our groups again, so going back up a level and kind of looking at the overall philosophy of it, the AZ IT basic user is view only. The AZ IT project manager has an added layer of rights, and if I look here under global, the list is fairly short. There's only 46 additional rights, but a lot of these are edit. So this is the ability to edit and create things. That's something that the basic user does not have. But a lot of the things that are on the basic user group are not repeated here because the philosophy is a project manager is a basic user and a project manager. So if someone needs Clarity access and they say, I'm an IT project manager, you give them both basic user and project manager level rights. Add them to both of those groups. If you only add them to the IT project manager group and not to the basic user, they will be able to edit all this stuff, but they won't be able to see the projects to edit them on. So you have to give them both. And similarly, if I go back and look at my list of groups, I also have an AZ portfolio manager that has yet again another layer of rights beyond a project manager. So the portfolio manager can also approve things, and that's what a project manager cannot do, mostly around approvals. Now, there are a whole bunch of other groups that are set up for specific things. So, for instance, the SIR module, there are SIR approvers. This is people, as the description says, they have access in the approval subpage in the SIR object. SIR processors are set up by supplier, and there is an OBS on the SIR object that we associate with the supplier. So people that are Accenture SIR processors can only see SIRs that are in the Accenture OBS. They cannot see SIRs that are in the Cognizant OBS. Global Engineering has a similar set of groups to IT. They have basic users, they have power users, which can actually do a lot more things, but they don't have administrator rights. Then they have project managers, and they have time approvers. So a lot of different variations on that, but the overall philosophy is pretty much retained throughout. There is also a supporting document, which is the AZ Clarity security model. This that we're looking at here is woefully out of date. The intent is to get this updated so that by viewing this video and reviewing this document, you should have a fairly good feel for how things function as far as security goes. Again, this is all oriented around groups. Here, what I'm doing is describing instance rights with an I, global rights with a G, and OBS level rights with an O. And where it's an OBS level right, I've indicated which OBS the right applies to. So again, this will be updated in the near future, but it should hopefully end up complete and giving you a full picture of all the rights that are granted to all of the various AstraZeneca specific groups. Now, there are some groups that are set up strictly for specific things, like loading actuals and things that are done only by administrators, the file loader. We have some legacy ones that I don't think are needed anymore, like NATP. The PGB approval process is for people that can approve project governance board submissions and so on. So quite a few kind of specialized groups. The number of rights in those groups is fairly small, so they should be fairly self-evident. And I've tried to maintain the description whenever I create a group, although I created those and didn't do it, to make sure that the description indicates why we have this group and what it's for. And you may see some in here like PMO Executive Viewer and System Administrator, which are things that are out of the box Clarity. We may or may not have any resources associated with those groups. But the other one of significance is the, I guess it's under A, is the AstraZeneca, page 2, the AstraZeneca super user group. And that group has all global rights in the system. So only the system administrator should be granted super user access. So there you have it. Now that you know all about rights, you rock.